Building consents update.
Good morning.
Far away, bud.
Obviously, most of the information I was going to cover is in the report, so just quickly cover off some of the key factors. So this is a report for the quarter, update for the quarter from July to September. And for that period, we've issued 1,565 building consents, which is about 20% higher than the previous year. And previous year was sort of higher than the previous 3 or 4 years before that as well. In terms of levels of service, for the unit we're meeting all those apart from 3, which are just below the targets. So those 3 are building consents granted. So year to date, end of September, we're at 90%. We were processed within the statutory timeframes, and 85 within the 95%, which there's 2 factors that we track. But just on that, we've been showing month by month significant improvement over the past year or so. And the current month in the September was actually 92%, and within the current year for the month to date, we're sitting at about 95.6%. So we've seen improvement across that on a month by month basis. Similar with inspections and co-compliance, which the other ones too, they're just underneath the targets. We've seen their ongoing monthly improvement as well. Building warrant fitnesses, currently on track to meet the targets there. We've at the end of September done 344 building warrant fitnesses. If you extrapolate that out, that exceeds the target for the year as well. Just an update on earthquake-prone buildings. During July, August, September, we received confirmation that 16 buildings were removed from the register. 7 buildings have been demolished and 9 strengthened. So there's about 536 remaining on that register from an original 1,386. So that's some of the main parts.
All good. Sarah, please.
Thanks. I'm just wondering, given the conversation in the national media over the last month or so about code of compliance, what's our failure rate? I mean, we've got the rates here that, how many we issue within times and things. But when someone goes to do the assessment, what's the failure rate?
Oh, I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Yeah, if you could send that through, that'd be really interesting. And if there's any changes over time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Yanni, please.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the update. I was really interested in on Operation Magazine, and so it's great that we've identified 2 buildings that fell within the criteria. I guess what's concerning is several fire safety issues were identified that required immediate attention, and I was just wondering, have we looked back and learnt as to how that happened, so that going forward, other buildings, if we do have other similar buildings in that state, it doesn't require a tragedy for us to pick it up?
Yeah, so we've only got the 2 buildings that were meet the criteria of the boarding house in Christchurch, and their criteria is around being a boarding house, being 3 stories or more in height, and making a sprinkler system. So there's only the 2, and we've got those up to the standard required now. So
I was trying to understand, was there any looking back at our processes around those 2 buildings to understand why they had issues relating to fire safety that required immediate attention? So understanding how they were being able to operate without us picking it up at an earlier stage.
So we audit as part of the BVOF inspection, we're auditing the work that's done by the independent qualified professional who inspects the building. Yeah. And we've, I think you're aware, over the past couple of years, we've done a lot of work in the BVOF space on processes, and the number of audits we've been doing has been increasing to get it up to the target. So within that, there has been some lessons. I'm not sure off the top of my head what those lessons are.
Right. I would find it quite useful. Maybe we could just get some information circulated on that.
Yep, sure.
Thank you. Appreciate that you've got those issues resolved and that you're reporting on it. But yeah, it would be just good to understand. Thank you.
Excellent. Tyrone, please.
Thank you. Just looking at table 1 on page 124. So you grant roughly about in the region of about 5,000 consents per year, and that's been pretty consistent, just over the last 3 years. That's about right, eh?
Yes.
And so presumably you receive a roughly equivalent amount during the course of a year. I mean, I know that there's a lead time, but you know, it's 5,000 and 5,000 out, maybe roughly. Would that be a bit fair? Before I ask my next question.
Yeah.
Cool. So, how much? In order to like have a 100% hit rate, or very close to, like in terms of timeliness, because obviously, like it doesn't all come in even. Like it's not like you know. So, unfortunately, you're constrained because you've got statutory timeframes that you need to. Anyway, so what sort of level of increase in capacity would you need to really get your backlog down and reduce the lead time on your on processing times?
Yeah.
Like a 10% increase?
I mean, you're right. The workload isn't coming in the consistent 5,000 divided by 12 sort of rate.
Statutory timeframes don't acknowledge that, unfortunately.
Yeah, as well as the complexity of them as well. So, yeah, look, we obviously have been looking at our processes and ensuring that. I guess the first point is to get those. Get their internal efficiencies so that we can get close to the statutory timeframes. And as I said, we've increased over the past 12 months or so from roughly around 56% up into the 90s. So I think at the moment we've probably got the resources about right. As I said, within the residential space for this month, we're sitting at about 99%. So we are pretty close to where we need to be. I think we'll see over the next months we're pretty close to that target.
And you've got about a 1 year sort of forward view almost just about, and you make some assumptions and stuff.
Yeah, so we do forecasting, based on what we can, what we know and what's happened before, and but obviously the other factors come into it as well. So
the forward trajectory might be maybe dipping a little bit, hard to say, but
we've sort of, as you can see by those numbers, we've remained reasonably consistently high the last 3 or 4 years.
Right.
So, yeah.
right. Okay. Thank you.
But Stephen, like it's all very well to say you got 5 consents. For example, one of them might take 2 months' work, even though you've got statutory time, depending on how well the person has put it in, how big the complex is. It's so many moving parts, isn't it? So
Yes, that's right.
no, I feel that's good.
I
So-
guess the spirit of my questions, Your Worship, were that, yeah, you're right, but they, all things being even, like you get some complex and it kind of all evens out over time. But if our consenting team has just enough, a little bit more capacity to reduce the backlog, then we can actually reduce those lead times. So for a very small investment, we might actually be able to increase the performance.
But you, Stephen, you're still using outside people to give you headroom when there's a rush of stuff comes in. It's just like a floating.
We sparingly use contractors to take out some of those peaks.
Yes. Okay. All right. So that's moved. And Kelly, did you? No. No, we've done it too. You're miles away. It's been moved and seconded. So I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thank you. That's carried. Right. Up to number 13.